Today's guest is Ivy Sardi, an advocate of the carnivore lifestyle and a promoter of natural medicine for health. You can find more information about Ivy on his Instagram at I am Ivy Sardi. Ivy, welcome to the Primal Foundations podcast.
Hey, bro. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I caught your episode on how to carnivore, and I watch your Instagram. You're doing carnivore cooking videos and tips and fasting stuff. So I thought I had to get you on.
Yeah, mad, bro.
Yeah. And so you're coming to us for Australia. Like, talk about how was it, growing up in Australia and what was kind of your life like?
Growing up was, I'm gonna say, just a normal life. I didn't go without, but I didn't get anything on a golden platter. It was just an average life, as it was. Um, and yeah, just went to your high schools and things like that. Struggled with academic side, learning and getting into place with those things. And I guess played heaps of sports, played soccer, played basketball. Actually, came over to the States when I was in my young teens, played a few tournaments over in the States, high schools and stuff like that. And I always thought that was going to be, that's me, that's my life. I'm making it to the NBA.
Uh,
um, but yeah, just things growing up was it was normal, always sports and activity and things like that, and schools and all that fun stuff.
yeah, what was like the food like? Because if I think I got that right there. You're come from Italian background.
I do. So your typical pasta, your pizzas, all the good stuff, so to speak. Always grew up on that. Even in sports, like carb up, carb load, all those sort of things. And then obviously when we're getting into very sport specific weight training and things like that, I've always been taught to basically like carb load and it's always been a whole food diet. Always, I've never been ice cream, lollies, candy, all those sort of things. But um yeah, I guess for me, obviously, the pastas and pizzas were always a big part of my, culture and background.
Yeah, out here, like I'm Italian background, Chicago, and same thing. Sports too. We would do the football dinners, right? You would have American football.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
would do the football dinners like pasta, carb load, and I think my performance, I always never felt very good. Eating like that, but just that was the normal. That's what we were told to do. I think it wasn't until wrestling, I had my own struggles with weight of wrestling, but when I would go in to tournaments and like, because we have to make weight, so we wouldn't eat a lot the night before. We'd go in, I would just kind of like I really try not to eat too much because you got to wrestle in an hour. I always felt really good that way versus just pasta and pizza and like chicken sandwiches and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going into, about 2019, like right before kind of COVID, what was your life like at that time?
That was like in the gist of where I was super unhealthy, doing dumb and bad shit. I got caught up in party drugs and things like that. I was hanging around the wrong people. I was getting real deep into that sort of lifestyle. Um, just bro, that was like right in the mix of everything. I wasn't talking to family or real true friends that wanted to do good things. You're hanging around people that unfortunately are stuck in that same sort of lifestyle. I always say you end up becoming a product of your environment if you stay there for long enough. And that's what I became. I became someone that was no ambition, no drive, no real goals. I became a drug user. I became, I was selling drugs. All those sort of things all worked hand in hand because I was around it 24/7. it was only a matter of time before I became that thing.
Yeah. It's
And
your identity, right?
that's right,
Yeah.
and not only that, the drug use on top of that makes things a lot worse, especially when you become an addict, which I did become. I became an everyday user for 5, 6 years of using substance. So once that took place in that sort of level, that brings out a totally new identity. You know what I mean? You are no longer in control anymore. You don't control your thoughts anymore. Not saying that I blamed, but a mask comes up and you never really get to see the real person. It was never really me. That my thoughts and my feelings were masked by all these things, and unfortunately, I couldn't get a control of that. I couldn't break away from that for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Um, and it was tough. Do you know what I mean? And I guess the realization of that happening was when I went to prison.
Okay.
Um, me going there was a blessing for me, and I'll say it to the day I die. That for me was the a blessing for me, because that was the gateway to get me out. That was a gateway to give me the second chance I needed, not just in stopping what I was doing, my health, my life, family, friends, just everything. It was a new opportunity for me because it took me out of that environment. It put me in basically, isolation, take you away from all the shit, and just process what's happening in here and what's happening in here. You haven't really got to understand what's happening for such a long time. So me going in there let me process how I'm feeling, emotions, trauma, anything that was coming up, and it gave me that opportunity to deal with it. And me dealing with it was being in there, training, getting back to training. You know,
Mhm.
having years and years off of training or gym or anything. Going in there, start from the basics, your body weight stuff. Couldn't do squats, couldn't do push ups, couldn't do nothing. You got to, from someone who played sports as a young kid, you've stopped, completely gone unhealthy. You're using drugs and alcohol for a fair bit of your time and absolutely killing yourself from the inside out, to then having that taken away from you, then put in there and then go, okay, you got to start from the basics, do push ups, squats, and sit ups.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I couldn't do them. I honestly could not do them, bro.
Wow. And
Like, I just
did you have access like at that time? Were you able to use like any gym facilities at there, or it was just basically no?
no, so it was just basically like calisthenics, bar work, some chin ups, some dip bars, and a few little things like that. But that's it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
But
getting it started, you know?
that's right. As
Yeah.
as we know, when you're younger, how do you start? You start with doing sit ups, push ups, those sort of things. So it was literally back to basics. Start with basics, and it got me through. It
Yeah.
started. It fired up that journey again from when you were a kid, and you got a bit of that drive and that motivation to push harder and things like that. It started again when I was in there, and I continued it on. It was hard. Like, it was hard. Like, I'm telling you, I could not do push-ups. My arms were shaking. I had no cardio. Like, I was a full fresh person that's never trained in your life. And
Yeah.
just every day, every day, every day, just keep doing it. And before you know it, I looked back and I was like, fuck, you've been doing this for a while now. Like, it's actually, you're smashing them. You know what I mean? You're doing like 200 burpees a day. You're doing
Oh,
200
whoa.
push-ups a day. Yeah, you're
Wow.
smashing them, smashing them.
Oh,
And I'm just
jeez.
like, you come far, like, keep going, like, wait until we can go train in, real gyms and move some weight. And just that drive stayed with me when I come out. And I'm like, okay, let's keep this going, because it's the one thing that's helped you. You're basically in the trenches, you're in hell. That was my promise to me when I was inside. There was this moment, I always talk about this moment. I had a little mirror on the wall, And it was the first time I got to see myself sober in after, 5, 6 years. So in prison, I was real banged up and stuff. Sober, first time sober. I looked in the mirror and I just said, "What the fuck?" Like, just it was just that moment, just gobsmacked. You took it all in. You could take in what you were looking at, seeing, feeling, memories, you name it. It was all just coming to me. Now I think I stood in front of the mirror for so long. Hey, it felt like days, but I was just it
Yeah.
just it came to me, and I just said, "What's the one thing that you're gonna do in here that is gonna make the difference to get you out there and stay out there?" And it was training. It was
Nice.
looking after myself. So that's where that sort of that fire, that drive came, and I knew that I had to continue that path when I come out.
Yeah, I'm assuming the food was not very good, or like I'm probably processed like packaged stuff.
Yeah, it's no different than like that I've seen over in the American jails. Like you're getting your meagerine noodles, your like it's just shit. The food that you're getting and you're able to get, most of it is processed junk food. Um, that obviously I'm not sure about over there, but here we can spend money to obviously buy out some of our food. But most of the food that you are available to get is like Tim Tams, Oreos, packet of chips. Like you can buy all those good things, but you can't sit there and buy chicken and beef, and you can't get it.
Yeah, and
The
so
only the only thing you can really get is tuna.
that's just cans of tuna.
It's just, man, I had a I had a wall of tuna.
It's you go in, you got this new fire, a whole different outlook on life. You get out, the training is the one thing that helped you, but where does the nutrition piece come in? How does carnivore fit into your life? Is there somewhere where you saw that and it was like, oh, seems about right, the Joe Rogan, Sean Baker. It's like a big one for everybody.
For me, well, prior to obviously when I was younger, I was studying PT, nutrition, be a online coach and all those things. So I was already in the process of doing that while I was playing sports because obviously that was what I wanted to do. But obviously life took its course and I got thrown off that topic. So when I come back out, I was like, maybe I should finish what I started. Continue that path, continue studying, continue learning. Let's make something happen. Let's do this. You're in a good thing. So I continue to learn and study that. But also when I had an incident when I got arrested. I got badly beat up. I was put in hospital, and obviously, when they did all their reports, they said that I've got a lot of ulcers and cysts all in my organs, all in my stomach, all inside. Bad. And I can basically put it to all the drug use and the abuse. So that was a bit worrying to me, especially when I come out back home. I'm just like, oh, man, I've got all those problems inside. Like, what are we going to do? And without even looking up or researching or making a decision of doing a carnivore, from everything that I could learn and put together, I thought, let's just eat meat. I didn't know this carnivore thing was a thing. I was very big on Aboriginal lifestyle, African tribes lifestyle. I always looked into those things, island people lifestyle, hunter gatherers, all those sort of things. I always was very particular at looking at their lifestyle because most of them don't get sick and they live really, simplicity lifestyles, which I love. So I looked at that and I'm like, bro, these guys are just eating meat and they're not eating every day. They're going out, they go hunt their food. The first thing they do is cut the animal open. They eat the organs on the spot. Then they'll carry the carcass back to the tribe, cut it up, and give it out to everyone. And then they do that the next day. Sometimes they don't eat the next day. So it's a couple of days. So I'm like, that's how I want to live. I want to do that. Let's give this a go. And I just done it. There's no questions asked.
Wow.
It was a mindset as well, obviously, because of where I've come from. Everything I was doing was just, I'm all in, no, nothing. And I just started. Every single meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner was kangaroo.
Oh
Kangaroo,
wow.
kangaroo, kangaroo.
Dang, I've never had kangaroo. I mean, I don't even know how would you describe kangaroo? Just the same as like regular beef, or
Nah, it's they call it gamey. It's a gamey meat. It's some people think it's got a really strong smell. Some people say it's really chewy, but I think it all no different than beef. It all depends on how you cook it. If you're a good cook and all those things, it makes a big difference.
wow, it's so crazy to like to think that you just did this off the cuff, kind of like not off the cuff, but like yeah, I'm gonna eat like this. I feel like I was just talking about with a lot of people like how carnivores being it's really popular now. There's so many people sharing their stories, and there's a lot more information being given. And so you did it kind of intuitively, like this sounds
Yeah.
right to me. I'm gonna
Yes.
do that. So you start eating just kangaroo, breakfast, lunch, dinner. And so, what were some of the things that were starting to happen to you, physique wise, and how you feeling?
I get asked this a lot. People are like, also like, yeah, how did you go with the adaptation phase? And did you get really low energy? And I'm like, I didn't, because maybe it is a mental thing, but because I was just so like, and I didn't think about it. I didn't say to myself, hey, I'm doing this new diet. I just said, I'm just doing this. That's it. It's the new way. I didn't feel nothing. I didn't feel no low energy. I didn't get any symptoms. I didn't get any, constipation, diarrhea. It was just like an instant change. Feel mad. Let's go. But the biggest things I noticed was better digestion. I had a knee replacement when I was in my 20s from basketball. Always struggled with squatting, leg exercises, kneeling, crossing my legs, all those things. Weak hamstrings because of that. Now there's no pain. Not saying I'm not saying they're super strong, but at the moment they are. I'm back squatting 165 kilos,
Nice.
but no pain. That's the biggest thing. There's just no pain.
Yeah.
So that the inflammation, it's not there. Digestion way better. No bloating. Or the food coma, when you eat and you just instantly it zaps your energy, takes your energy away from the carbs. None of that happens anymore. And the biggest thing is constant energy, no matter what. Everyone says, you got ADHD, you got so much energy. I'm like, bro, this is just life. Like, this is just a life. Um, and the mental clarity. And I talked about this before. I said, there's no way I could be doing what I've been doing now, starting the business, clients, getting on podcasts, training and having these phone calls every day. There's no way I could be doing this having a healthy whole food carb diet. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, the inflammation is a huge piece.
Mm.
Most of our chronic lifestyle diseases are causing from inflammation, and that's one thing that people talk about with carnivore. So any elimination diet is like, oh, I had my knee pain or joint pain or whatever, gone. And it's not even like months. Like sometimes it's like a week or days, and like, oh, my knee doesn't hurt me anymore, which is crazy for them. It's been something that's been bothering them for years. Again, the mental clarity too. You're not always constantly thinking about food. If you want to be productive. For me, I'm training and podcasting. I work. I'm a teacher. Like I do all these things. I'm not carrying, or I see people at work or other my boys, they carry around like big ass bags of like Tupperware and food all day. I'm like, how the hell do you even eat all that? It's insane.
And it's funny, but like I come from that. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
if you did, but like we used to do that. You used to
Yeah.
carry your food and have it all in containers and make sure you got enough for the day. And oh, I don't know how to go back, like to even go back to that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think, like, it's crazy to think that that's how we used to be, always eating every couple of hours, making sure, panicking, you're thinking you're going to waste away or something.
Yeah. Yeah. If I don't have this protein shake and if I don't eat my chicken and rice, I'm gonna lose all my muscle gains and why'd I even go
Mm.
to the gym, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's funny enough you say that now because obviously I'm a big advocate for fasting and I love experimenting with the human body. And it's like, I think about a month ago, I did a 10-day water fast. And a lot of people are just questioning, like, how is this possible? How are you not dying? How are you not wasting away? How come your muscles aren't, nothing happened for me in that 10 days. I lost 4 kilos, which is
Okay.
nothing for 10 days.
Yeah.
I've seen people do 10 days and they lose 10, 15, 20 kilos. But for me, that's nothing. And I look at it, okay, so you lost 4 kilos, which can be fat, muscle, water, inflammation, and waste in your colon. So if you divided it by all those things, it's not much
Yeah.
in each of those categories. Um, and I'm a big believer in fasting because of these tribes. That's how we should have been. We weren't, we, us humans made the fridge. We made things so easily. Like you or me can get up right now and walk to the fridge and go get food.
Yeah.
It, it wasn't meant to be like that. It wasn't meant to be that accessible. We're meant to earn our food. Like these tribes. That's why I was saying when they go hunt food, they might not come back with something. It's not the end of the world. They come back
Yeah.
to their families, they do their little dances and then their little ceremonies at night, and then they go out the next day and try again. They might not get it. They might not get something for 2 or 3 days. They don't waste away. If you go look at how they're built, they're super lean, but they hold their muscle mass.
Yeah. And you mentioned, with those tribal, with the tribes, you have like this community aspect, and you also have people that are contributing to the community that are well into their 90s, and they're doing things. They're making quilts and they're helping with
Yeah.
preparation and they're helping
Yes.
raise kids. Like how many, like in the let's say United States, like how many 9-year-olds are still like contributing to like everybody else in this
That's
in the
right.
environment. We don't see that, but because
Oh,
of the way they eat, because of their lifestyle, they're living to 90, but it's
yes.
quality life. It's not
That's
like
yes.
you're not on the bed or taking pills every day. They're actually living a quality life till the later ages.
Yes, yes. And that's the biggest thing people ask me. They're like, oh, what's your goal? Like, what are you trying to achieve? Well, an extra 5 or 10 years. I said, you know what? It's not about that 5 or 10 years. I said, it's the quality of my life. I said, we shouldn't be sick. Most of us are getting symptoms and sicknesses as early as 30. And then it starts to get real chronic between 40 and 50. And then they're thinking 60, 70, game over. So it shouldn't be like that. It
Yeah.
wasn't like that 50 years ago. There was no cancer, diabetic, all these things. It wasn't around. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you need to start looking at what's changing. Food, the way we grow it, environmental factors, toxicity in the ground, the soil, the environment, all these things play a big part. You know what I mean? And the elderly people, they were really healthy. They weren't working around with, canes and sticks and wheelchairs, and they were still walking and doing normal things like they were when they're 40. And that's how it should be. And when you go look, like you said, at these tribes, there's people that are 90, 100, and they're still there in the kitchen, cutting up their fruits and doing stuff with their hands and making things. They're still getting a part of it.
Yeah.
and,
No,
and, and that and that's how it should be. Everything that we put into our mouth is either going to work for us or against us, and you need to decide what it's doing every time you put something in your mouth.
with and that's the thing is like this connection to our food has been lost over the years, and as it's starting to get back, when people come to you, to talk to you about, diet, nutrition, what are some of the, modern food issues that you see as the most prevalent with people that you're working with?
The biggest thing is people are not knowing and understanding the actual food label and ingredients. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing I preach is just read your actual ingredients. What is this food made up of? A lot of people are thinking, oh, but I'm having, for instance, electrolytes. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm buying these electrolytes. They're good. I'm like, okay, actually read what is in this electrolyte. And there's fructose, there's fucking corn syrup, there's sugars. I'm like, there's no point having this. It just defeats the purpose. Do you know what I mean? And the main ingredients for your electrolytes comes is derived from sea salt. So why not just have sea salt? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's the biggest thing I see is they just look at the front and go, yeah, this is healthy. But it's knowing what it's made up of is going to be the big, just doing that. Everything you eat, everything that you put on your skin, if you read that on label, what it's made out of, just making that conscious decision is a game changer itself.
Yeah, the food in America at least, like the food labels are just absolutely ridiculous. And you got food that has lots of characters on it in the front, and it looks like inviting, and the kids like want it, and they're gonna harm their parents for it. I mean, this has been going on for years, but we have some of the same food like packaging in other countries, and they have
Yeah.
like warning labels with like a skull and crossbone on it, which is out of
Yeah.
control.
Yeah. It's like our, obviously yours is the worst, America's the worst of the worst. Ours isn't too bad, but it's still so on the back of ours, we'll have normally they will say like let's say it's sugar or something, but the problem is now is they're giving sugar so many different names. They'll give it 10,
Yeah.
20, 30 different names, and they do that with every other thing. So if there's a chemical, it has 100 names, so you don't get used to that name. But what happens with us, we have they put the name, say sugar, and they'll put a number next to it in brackets. And normally, if you go on Google, you can look up that number, which is a preservative, basically saying, "Hey, this is what it is. Warning." Blah 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 blah.
Okay.
So normally, what I tell people is, if there's something with a number with a bracket, it's basically saying warning.
There should be
Okay, like
a light
it should
going
not
off.
be.
Yeah.
Yes, it should not. Like, don't eat it. There's a reason why they're putting a warning on there, is because they've obviously done tests and they know that it's not good for you.
Yeah.
Period. Period. I don't care if it's in 0.0001%. I don't care, because you're going to have that two, three, four times a day for the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years. Something's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Something's going to go wrong. And that's where I guess people can't look that far into the future and actually understand that concept. Where I get a lot of people saying, isn't a can of Coke a day okay? Well, it's okay. Is it going to kill you on that day? No. But if you're having a can of Coke for 20, 30, 40 years, yeah. If you don't think that chemical is going to cause problems inside your organs, having it every day for 20 or 30 years, like, where do you think the sickness and problems come from? It's not an instant response. It's because of gradual toxicity buildup, problems, you name it. And
Okay.
that's the hard thing that they can't see. They can't
Yeah.
see that 20, 30 years in front and then go, oh, it was that can of Coke every day for 20 years.
Yeah. And it's the crazy, like you were saying, like there's so many different types of sugars they're putting into it. So like they're not creeping up to the top of the label, which has the most, what is it actually mostly made out of? They're all at the bottom, like a sucrose, a dextrose, a os, all across the board. I'm like, what the hell is half this shit? Like I don't even know. It's not even food.
It's,
And yeah, and it's the way you said it too earlier, like I can't believe we used to eat like that, and
mm,
how it made us feel. But we just at that, years ago at that point in time, there's no really
Mm,
information. We're just being told like this is
mm,
okay. You should have this. You should have
mhm.
that. And like sweets in moderation are fine. Well, if having a Coke a day, plus you're having sweets in moderation, plus heavy carbohydrate meals and processed and ultra processed meals, which is the normal, that every day is going to cause havoc on you.
Exactly. And it's not only that, it comes back down to those ingredients. Those ingredients, the sugars, the chemicals, the preservatives, they're literally in all those other things. So if you're eating that every day, you're having those chemicals 5, 6, 7 times a day now.
Yeah.
Now times that by 20, 30 years.
It's very eye-opening when you like I walk into the grocery store now if I'm getting things and if I have to go to the meat section in the back, I'll go through an aisle, right? The outside aisles, I don't know how it's just like one thing for America. I'm not sure if it is the same, but like the outside aisles are typically like your produce, your
Mhm.
veg, like your fruits, and
Yeah.
then the back end is like the meat counter, seafood, or whatever.
Mhm.
But the middle aisles are like all of the processed shit.
Yeah.
And literally, that's the entire store just without the outside. And if I have to walk through, I'm walking through and I'm just looking at all the boxed food. And I'm like looking and I'm like, it's not even food anymore. Like, it's not
Mhm.
even food. And I'm just walking through and there's people just loading carts. And I'm not, I'm nobody to judge anybody. So I'm just sitting there keeping my mouth shut. But I'm like, this is just a crazy way to live, but this is normal for, unfortunately, most people in the world.
Yeah, it is crazy, and ours is set up the same way. Now what I do is I can't help myself. All I want to do is educate people.
Yeah.
All I want to do is educate people. When I'm there and I can see someone's approachable, whatever, and I'll just be like, "Hey, like, how come you're choosing that?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know." That's the answer. They don't know why they're picking it. They just looked
Hmm.
at the box and gone, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay." If they're picking milk or something, I'll be like, "Hey, how about you try this one?" And they're like, "Oh, why is that?" And I'm like, "Sweet, boom," and I just educate them. And I show them about the ingredients and things like that. And they're like, "No way." I'm like, "Yes." And just instantly they're like, "Wow, okay, I'll try that." Sweet. And I'm happy. I'm good. I walk out of that shop smiling.
Dude, that's cool. I feel like
it,
I get punched in Chicago. They'll be like, get out of here, guy. What are you doing?
I don't know. I just can't help myself because, like, especially with like mums and kids, I see like what they're putting in their trolley, and I'm just going, "What the fuck, man? Like why?" And you ask them why, they don't know. They don't have an answer. They're just like, I just get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it bothers me sometimes. And it's tough too, thinking like you said, like, us, we were growing up on this. Yes, there wasn't enough information out there. But the other thing too is, we got taught this in school to eat this way. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's shit. Unfortunately, it's really shit. And the other thing too is, like I like to say, is we don't notice the harm, the feeling, the sluggishness, the bloating, because we ate this basically from the get go. So when we were a kid, we would have experienced these things, but we wouldn't have known. We wouldn't have known any different. But
Mhm.
for me especially, now being on a carnival, when you try and have those things back in, you, like, instantly. I have.
Yeah.
I tell everyone I've experimented while I've been on my carnivore journey. I've gone animal based and strict line diet. I've tried incorporating, a gluten free pizza. I tried all different things just to see how my body responds. Within 2 to 5 minutes, instantly feel shit, bloating, no appetite, sluggish, just off it, like instantly sick. Um, Sometimes can't sleep at night, like a drug hit from the sugars. It's nasty. It's really nasty. And
Yeah.
and you and you would have felt that when you were a kid, but you would have known. You wouldn't have known that feeling is coming from the food because you've been having the food the whole time.
Yeah, I've said this multiple times on a podcast. It's just you don't know how good you feel because you never ever felt that good, and it's a very I don't want to get like spiritual, but it kind of is like, and that's the big thing
Mm.
why I think that's why people like you, like myself, there's a lot of individuals out in the world that were feeling like shit for a very long time and didn't really notice it until it was too late. And I went through my battles with weight gain and weight loss and a bad relationships with food, man. It was just bad. I mean, I've gained and lost the same 50 pounds probably a handful of times. And but I've never I'm in my late mid oh shoot, I guess mid 30s. I'm 36, but I
Yeah.
feel better now in my life. I'm stronger, I'm faster, like my performance is way better and I feel better than in my early 20s when most of the
Yeah.
time that's not the case. The case is you're getting to your mid 30s, close to your
Yeah.
40s and you don't feel as good. You're just, oh, it's old age. No, I feel better than I ever have in my life and I don't see it stopping.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Like we shouldn't be sick and ill and feeling the way most people do at that early age. Like the 20-year-olds, uh, are starting to feel real shit or getting sick or chronic illnesses, cancer, you name it.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be like that. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like that. Now you need to start looking at what is happening. Food industry, farming industry, like I said, the environment, toxicity levels, all these things play a massive part. And knowing to try and you're never going to eliminate them because of the world we live in. It's impossible. But knowing and acknowledging those different categories and learning about them and trying to keep everything to a minimum, you're going to do a lot better. A lot better.
Yeah. What's something or that you can start somebody off with, that's looking just to live like a healthier lifestyle? Is it like I'm looking at products in my house? Is it like I gotta kind of just not I have to look at the nutrition labels? Like where do I kind of start? Because this could be like if you tell somebody all this, they're like, I've been doing this forever. What do I do now?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Obviously, your food, but not that nutrition label. Not so much to speak with the carbs, the protein. What is made that food? What makes up that food? Okay, if it is not a one or two ingredient food, don't eat it because most of the other shit is additives, chemicals, all nasty stuff. If you don't understand what those things are, start learning about them because they're the chemicals and toxins that cause heavy metals, toxicity buildup. They feed parasites. That's what parasites feed off in your gut. Okay. So you're basically feeding the germs its favorite food. So that itself, and the same thing with your homeware, your cookware, learning the different chemicals that are in your Teflon pans and all those things, your PFAs. So learning cleaner products, learning in your shampoos, your consumables, your makeups, all those sort of things. That makes a big difference, especially when you're using them every day. It's no different than your food. If you're having this food two, three, four times a day and it's got this much, nasty stuff in it, or if you're putting that on your skin, it's going inside your bloodstream, it's going into your organs, your body's soaking it up. It's got to go through your body. So it's the same thing. You got to look at what you put on your skin as well, not just what you put in it. Okay, so if you got a bad diet and you're putting bad things on your skin, well, now you're speeding things up. If you've got bad utensils, Teflon pans, chemical products like that, now you're making it even worse. So all these things add up. So like I said, if we can learn about them and reduce them, you're gonna have a better quality of life.
Yeah, sun exposure too is a big one.
Yeah.
Everybody's lathered up head to toe with SPF. One, that stuff is a bunch of different chemicals, which is not the best, but then also you're reducing the amount of sun exposure you get, which has been, you know, proven over and over again that it's
Mhm.
actually healthy for us and it's
Yes.
great for our circadian rhythm and all of these things. And it's just crazy that like we're going to be covering up. And a lot of people, I don't know if you had this happen to you, but people that go to carnivore, when they've done fully carnivore and they're fat adapted and all that stuff, they say I've never or I would rarely ever get a sunburn ever. And
Mm.
they don't wear any SPF, but changing to a carnivore diet, they very rarely ever get sunburn.
Yeah, that and a little bit of beef tallow on the skin.
A little be cooking in the sun.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. And the other thing is, I like to put on that too. Same thing. If you look at African tribes, people with darker skin that don't use, any products or creams, if any of them have cancer from being out in the sun, they don't have it. But
Yeah,
they're in the sun. They're in the sun all the time. They're outside all the time. Then you need to consider, what is it, the products and the chemicals that you're putting on your skin that is speeding this up,
yeah,
especially with the sunscreen and things like that. If you go read what's in the sunscreens, like, bro, it's just nasty stuff, nasty, and it's been proven that that stuff can speed up the chemicals in there, cancer causing ingredients and things like that. So when you look at that, doesn't that, that doesn't make sense. I think I met a Lebanese bloke on a job site a long time ago, he was from Iraq and things like that. He had no idea what sun cancer was, skin cancer was. He goes, it's not a thing like over here. Like, we're in the sun 24/7 working, like, and we don't put chemicals and creams on us. And
yeah,
it just makes me think, like, how can that be? What is it? Is it, the foods play a big role, but your environment and all these things? It's the
yeah,
biggest thing I learned from when you look at, these ancestral tribes and things like that. Like, it's crazy, just it simple is easy and better. Being connected to the world, your food, it make a big difference.
yeah. And it's like stress is a issue too with a lot of people because I follow Mark Sesson's work. He does the Primal Blueprint, and one of the things that he talks about is he goes the amount of play. Like we have this thing in our head that like their tribes are hunting all day, they're working all day, they're doing. Oh, it's like no, like if they go out and hunt for sure, they'll do some things, but like a lot of their life is play, like 6 to 8
Mm.
hours of play. As adults, you know, when do we get that? That doesn't
Yeah,
really happen as much unless like you're really, you're joining rec leagues, you're playing. I know you play basketball. I've seen you shooting a hoop, but that's like a big part of those lifestyles is not to
yeah,
be stressed all day, not to get in your car, go to a cubicle, sit in the cubicle, get back in your car, drive all the way back home, and then go sit on the couch. Like
yeah.
that's not living.
That's right. We weren't meant to do that. We're not designed to do that. We were designed to basically be outside, wake up with the sun, play, with the family, the tribes, and the people. Okay, sweet. It's going to be good time to go hunt our food. Let's go out for a couple of hours, come back. We didn't get something, play with the kids. You're still out in the sun, or start cooking and prep the food. And there's just activity and stuff outside, while, ceremonies and celebrations happen, and that's
Yeah.
all in the fun, in the play, when they do that stuff, the dancing and things like that. So most of the time, yeah, you're right, they are outside playing, enjoying themselves, while they spend that little bit of time just to go hunt their food and come back,
Yeah.
and
Uh,
enjoy it.
yeah, exactly. And speaking of enjoying your food, eating your food raw. Now, I've seen some clips. Do you prefer to eat raw, medium rare? I've seen you kind of do a little bit of both there.
um it's a tough one.
Yeah.
I don't have a favorite, but I love raw. I love medium rare. Like, I think I do it because it's just different. It gives every time. It just, I guess, once you be on a carnivore for some time, variety is key. Variety is good. Variety feels nice. So having between raw, frozen raw, medium rare, like, it's just different textures, different tastes. So I'm
Okay.
all for it. Yeah, just, I don't. I don't do it for a particular reason. It's just more like it's just when you're creating a dish, it gives it a different vibe. So that way you're always getting something different. So I'm down for it.
Yeah, I know some people have said like, oh, eating it raw, it's more bioavailable. I've heard people
Mhm.
say like if you sear it a little bit, like a medium rare, it's gonna actually be even easier to digest, and that's more,
Yeah.
bioavailable. But if you cook it like a hockey puck, it's not gonna be nothing, kind of thing. So, yeah, some people go either way, but it seems like it's like a texture thing for you just to mix it up.
Yeah, like I definitely can see and have seen and heard about, being more bioavailable. I can definitely understand what they mean by searing it just for a couple seconds because normally what happens is it goes it goes funny when you sear it for like a split second and
Mhm.
keep it really red and raw. It goes really like mushy. Like it's just so
Yeah.
easy. Yeah, it's
It's
just
like
so
like
easy
the
to
the
eat.
fat kind of like renders a little
Yeah,
bit. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I definitely could understand that concept as well. But for me, it's just, yeah, mix it up, something different, go for it. Like
Yeah.
I've tried liver, heart, brains, like you name it.
Yeah. I went down the liver path.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan. Maybe I'm cooking it wrong. I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. I've had heart before. I've had heart. I've
yeah,
had liver. But my main staples is just ground beef, eggs, and then like just ribeyes or New York strip
mm,
steaks. Like that's like my wheelhouse. And I'm actually anti-variety. I feel like I could literally eat the same thing every single
yeah.
day. So for me, it's kind of the same every day.
It's yeah, it's good. It's good you said that because there's the people that they just can't do it. They need variety to keep them going, keep them interested, which is all right. But then you can get people that if I said to you, "What is one meal you could eat every single day for the rest of your life?" Just like easy all day.
Boom. Ribeyes. I would eat
Yeah,
ribeyes every day if I could.
yeah, all day, like easy. Which yeah, for me, I guess like how long have you been carnivore?
So this is going on 5 years, I would say.
Oh, mad. That's heaps good, bro. That's heaps good. I think I'm coming up to 3 years. Um, so for me, like, yeah, I don't know, like, it's just I'm just so into a habit, no questions, no second thought, like just eat meat, like whatever.
Yeah.
I can eat anything. I also get a good variety. Like I've got some really good connects where I can get crocodile, I can get emu, I can get the weirdest things. I can get bison, I can get deer, mix them up. Like I can get most things, which I'm just like, whatever, man.
Dude, that's so cool. I like it's hard. It's not hard, I should say. It's costly for like
Mm,
from where I'm at. Like if I want to get grass finished,
mm.
grass fed, grass finished, I would have to like and get it from like a actual farm. Like you'd have to like call them up, order half a cow or whatever. They'll freeze it, they'll ship it, and it is a little pricey. So I would say sometimes I do splurge on certain things, but for the majority, it's really conventional, just conventional meats. I don't know if they have Costco out in Australia. They got Costco
Yeah,
out there. Yeah, that's my jam. I love Costco. I go to Costco and I just they make 6 pounds of ground beef at a time. They have the bundles. It's the weirdest like percentage. It's 88/12. To
hmm,
me, that's my favorite because 85/15. If I just go to 88/12, I feel like, I can get the protein's a little bit higher. That's the fat ratio I like, and it tastes really
yeah,
good. So for me, it's that or it's ribeye steaks. And they're grass fed but grain finished. And I actually prefer grain finished because it's a little bit fattier. And that's the reason I
yeah.
like it.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, nice. I wish. So we got Costco, but our Costco obviously isn't as good as the OGs in America.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's not as good as yours because I've been there a few times, but we don't like get the variety that you guys have. Like I've seen like on socials, a lot of people going to Costco for carnivore and shopping, and I'm like, I'm going to Costco, and I get there, bro, I leave with nothing.
Yeah.
I don't leave with anything because they're like, there's not much variety, which sucks because I see you guys and I'm like, bro, I want to go there. I want that variety. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, it's not bad, but then again, I'm super picky. Um, I'll always try and stay away from grain fed, obviously. Um, but the other thing we can touch base on with Costco, I was going to say this before, how we're talking about when you go to the shopping aisles and you just see boxes, boxes, boxes. When you go to Costco, I don't know if you've ever done this, bro. I've literally gone to Costco and I've just stood in the middle of the shopping center. I've just looked up, just crates and crates and crates of food wrapped in Glad wrap and plastic. I just look around and I'm going, where the fuck is all this food coming from? Like it's been here for so long. Now imagine all the Costco stores. Imagine all the produce, all the stock just sitting there in boxes. And I'm just like, damn. And then I look around and it's like, you're just slow motion and everyone's filling up their cars with like all these cereals and shit. And I'm just like, it's so surreal, bro. I'm telling you, I try it. Just standing there and just look around. I've done it a few times and it makes me feel like it's crazy. It's like it's
Yeah.
like the Matrix. It's like a Matrix moment. Everyone's just flying past you with just all this like shit food, and I'm just like, whoa,
Yeah, we've
yeah,
really got disconnected from what it is, um, or the things that really truly nourish us, and just really just everything is about business and product and how much can they sell, and it's so prevalent when you turn the TV on. It's prevalent. It's even crazier. I was home and I was gonna watch a show on Amazon, right? Amazon Prime. And I have Amazon Prime, but I still get commercials, so I don't even know what the hell that's about. But anyways, like, you know,
I'll make some phone calls to Amazon.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, dude, I pay for Prime. Why do I have commercials? But anyways, an Ozempic commercial came on,
Oh,
right? And it's just like a family or whatever, and they show like the wife taking the Ozempic, and then it was the husband and whatever. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, we're gonna look back at this time and be like, this was the craziest thing we've ever done as Americans because the like people are. I know people that are on Ozempic too that like talk to me about it. They're like, if I have something to eat, like if I put it to my mouth, I want to throw up. I go,
mm,
like, and they're like, well, it just, I don't eat as much or I barely eat at all. I go, well, yeah, you're going to lose weight because you're not eating anything. But what is that doing to your body? You know, they're
mm,
talking about muscle mass, bone
yep,
density going down. And as we know, as like people that are in fitness, muscle mass is one of the best things that you can do for your body for longevity. Now we're
longevity.
taking, yeah, we're taking muscle mass away and bone density away, and you don't even have a relationship with your food anymore. You don't even know what it is to like taste your food because you want to throw up. And it's like they
Yeah,
had like the commercial, it looked all playful and fun. Go on Ozempic. And then the next commercial was for a different shot. I forget, Wagey or whatever it was. It was another one back to back, and I'm like you're saying, I felt like I was in the Matrix. Red pill, blue pill. I don't know what's going on.
yeah.
It's
It's just it's crazy. It's crazy. But you said it, bro. Like it's not about it's not about health anymore. It's not about the purpose. It's about money and business.
yeah,
And that's the biggest thing I've learned. And I guess once you like tap into understanding that and being open minded, I guess when you're in this lifestyle as well, you need to be open minded. If you can be open minded, great. Like you're doing yourself like a lot of benefits just being open minded, considering carnivore lifestyle, etc., etc. Because then us other people like us can influence or just give you some more knowledge on other things when it comes to which I've talked big about on farming, commercial farming, commercial animals. When you look at what are the main animals that are produced for commercial farming. Why? Because it makes money.
Yeah.
Like dairy cows. Most of them, that's why most of us have shit quality dairy, because the animal is now mass produced to make money. So the quality of the food is shitter. And it is, you know what I mean? You can't get a really good quality milk, or you can't get raw milk anymore. So they're just
Mhm.
making all these shit milks, plant milk, all this other crap with additives and you name it, because this mass produced now. So if you look at chickens are super unhealthy, so sick and crap. It's mass produced, but commercial farming. You know what I mean? So when you start looking at those things, not just food, but farming and commercial and business and making money and things like that, it starts to unfold a lot of different things when you look at it in that aspect. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's it's the biggest thing I started learning and talking to farmers, so talking directly to farmers and things like that. It's so different, and it's good to hear it firsthand from the farmers that are doing the right thing and stuff like that, just to get that inside knowledge. Because that's gonna having that knowledge is powerful. Not just in your own personal nutrition and understanding, but just like I said, having an open mind in changing overall health and things like that.
Yeah, and even if somebody doesn't want to be carnivore, right? If they're like, that's not what I want to be do or whatever. Like, I think just like the things that you were talking about is just like really figure out where your food's coming from, have an open mind, be willing to be, like change some ways you view or you view food, because people
Yes.
don't view food as like nourishment. It's pleasure
Yes.
and enjoyment. So just a mind shift or just looking to eat healthier or cleaner, I think at the end of the day, like that's a way better way to live life than the current state of what we're at right now.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And it's a good point that you just said. Do you eat food for pleasure, or pleasure and enjoyment, or nourishment? And people ask me all the time, what do you eat for? Do you eat for pleasure or nourishment? I eat for nourishment, but I get pleasure from it now, because I
Hmm.
put in the sacrifice, the hard work and things like that. I crave a fucking steak. I crave a big juicy red tomahawk. Do you know what I mean? When it's cooked perfectly, I just froth at it.
Yeah.
That comes with the journey.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And now, like, I always eat with a purpose of eating. Do you know what I mean? To feel my body right, to feel good. It's not because, hey, I want to get a dopamine hit. Do you know what I mean? It's because I
Yeah.
want to feel good. I want it to, feed my muscles and help, my gut and digestion. Yeah, it's the biggest thing that I always get asked.
Yeah. I think yeah, once you do carnivore for a while, like I mean, that's something you look forward to is those meals. But then if you do dip off and you have birthday cake or whatever you said earlier, like I feel within a couple of minutes, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I feel like crap. So you don't really want
Yeah.
to do it as much. But for anybody that's interested in this, like, who are you looking for? That's that somebody that wants to work with you. Like, is it people just in Australia, all across the globe?
I've got people across the globe. I've got people in Australia. I've got people in New Zealand. I've got people in France, America, Italy, UK. So at the moment, I'm global.
Global. I'm global.
I'm
Uh,
global.
how can people get a hold of you? What's the best way to connect with you?
Best way to connect me is obviously on my socials. You can drop me a message on Facebook or Instagram. So Instagram is I am Ivy Sardi, and my Facebook is just Ivy Sardi. Shoot me a DM. I'm more than happy to help you out, point you in the right direction.
All right. Well, thanks again for everybody listening to another episode of the Primal Foundations podcast.